Birds of a Feather by Windy Angel. Chapter 7. Their wings like shadows of past silhouettes. Summary, where Tim meets Danny. Tim knew the exact moment Ghost's GPS signal vanished. 1 second, the tiny pin blinked calmly on his screen. Then it was gone. No warning, no flicker, just gone. The chill that crawled down his spine was immediate. Every one of his birds wore small trackers, non-invasive, feather-like clips woven into their leg bands, or nested in their fluff. Ghost had been tucked near the base of his neck, hidden in the soft down like a whisper. It was subtle, safe. Now it didn't exist. Tim stared at a blank spot on his tablet in the middle of the coffee shop, his fingers tightening around the device. The other pins were still active. Brad hovered near a pretzel stand, no doubt planning a heist. Sherlock was loitering on a rooftop, probably judging strangers. The doves were cycling above the park, lazy and content. But Ghost? Ghost had vanished, without a trace. Tim was already moving, chair screeching back, breath caught in his throat. He didn't even realize he was standing until Steph grabbed his wrist, and Casey stepped into his path, her hand on his chest to steady him. "Tim, stop! He's gone!" Tim hissed, voice tight, eyes wild. The signal disappeared not even 10 minutes ago, not far from the apartment. Someone took him. Someone grabbed him. Greta stepped in then, her voice firm but calm as she raised a hand. "Breathe, bird boy." Cass, ever calm and laser-focused, tilted her head thoughtfully. She signed. If he's really a ghost, shouldn't we find out why people are after him, instead of just chasing him around again? Tim opened his mouth to argue, then closed it, because damn it, she was right. Before he could recover, Steph elbowed him in the ribs, with a knowing grin. Also, didn't Brad and Bastard already destroy at least 2 of their own trackers? This wouldn't be the first time one of your feathered delinquents decided to go dark just to prove a point. Tim groaned, dragging her hand through his hair. Okay, fine, fair, but Ghost is different. Steph's grin widened, like a shark smelling blood. Oh? Is he now? Tim, tired, really tired, not to smile, but failed immediately. Yes, obviously. He's not just different because he's a ghost. He's smart, ridiculously smart. He mimics voices, understands tone and context. He once figured out the fingerprint lock on my supply drawer and reorganized everything by utility category. Greta raised an eyebrow. Cass and Cece exchanged a look. Tim was undeterred. And last week when I got hurt, he shoved Bastard into my chest, like, "Fix this human now," and then didn't leave my side for 3 straight days. He even brought me a sock. I don't even know whose sock it was. Cass tilted her head, eyes gleaming. "You like him?" Tim blinked. "Of course I like him. He's—" "No," she said, signing now with deliberate mischief. "You like him?" Steph gasped, slapping a hand over her mouth, like this was the best gossip she heard all year. "Oh my God, you have a crush on your bird!" "He is not a bird," Tim snapped, already flushing. "He acts way too human to be—" "Sorry, Rob," Greta cut in smoothly, reclining in her chair with a lazy smirk. Her human disguise was impeccable today. No eerie glow, no spectral shimmer, but there was no mistaking the knowing gleam in her eyes. "I've told you already, ghosts don't shapeshift into animals. We're not grub. We keep the form we died in." Tim froze. So he couldn't have died as a bird? But been human before that? Greta shrugged, thoughtful. "Would be hard. The form you die in is the ghost form. Birds don't generally have the mental complexity to hunt lingerie baskets and emotionally bond over espresso. Unless," Steph said slowly, eyes wide, "he died as a person who later turned into a bird ghost." Greta laughed, full-bodied and mercilessly. "Oh God, you're definitely crushing on a bird." "I do not," Tim said, too quickly, too defensively. His ears went bright red. He's just smart, cool, protective, emotionally intuitive. Steph counted off on her fingers, grinning like a shark. Hot, probably? I didn't say that! You did not say it. Cass leaned in, voice soft and gleeful, like she was sharing the best secret in the world. You want to kiss the bird? I do not want to kiss the... Tim stopped. He paused, thought about it, then groaned into his hands, with the weight of a man realizing he'd already fallen off the emotional cliff. Oh my God, he muttered. I have a crush on a bird. Steph let out a crackle that shook the cafe window. Cass patted his back gently, her face alight with joy. This is so stupid, Tim mumbled into his palms, but the smile he couldn't hide, crooked, helpless, absurd, told a different story. Ghosts might have gone off the grid, but now? Tim had every reason to find them. Please, let's just go back to the research, he complained, and the girl snickered. The cafe buzzed with the soft murmur of conversation and the rhythmic chatter of cutlery. But in Tim's corner booth, the air felt tense, silent but for the rapid tap of keys on Tim's fingers as he typed furiously on his laptop. Steph slurped her iced coffee loudly. Anything yet? Cass leaned in over Tim's shoulder, her gaze narrowing at the shifting lines of code and messy file directories. Across from them, Casey's jaw was tight, her focus razor-sharp on the files she had gathered from her own research. The GIW, Ghost Investigation Ward. It's technically a government agency, but it operates completely off books. Black Ops adjacent. Think of DEO, but instead of protection, they authorized for containment and eradication. Steph raised a brow. Eradication? Yeah, Greta said grimly. Her tone dropped to something cooler. They don't study ghosts, they hunt them. Tim tilted the screen towards the others as a corrupted directory file opened under his command. They call entities like ghosts, spectral anomalies. Here, look at this. This is the entrance of the classification on ghosts. Steph leaned over his shoulder. Wait, what is that one? That looks ominous. He clicked open a file labeled Threat Index S-Class, and a name snapped onto the screen in blocky red letters. Phantom. Status active. Threat level extreme. Class unknown. A grainy black and white photo loaded next, half distorted like a broken transmission. The figure was suspended mid-air, white hair glowing against a violet burst of energy. Green eyes burned through the static, sharp and bright, and curled above his head like smoke was a jagged crown of ghostly fire. Steph let out a low whistle. Jeez, they get that on CCTV or through psychic nightmares. Satellite footage, Tim muttered, probably enhanced and filtered to hell and back. The classification notes are just as vague. Reality distortion, spectral manipulation, trans-dimensional abilities, believed to be the entity's alpha creature, hostile, uncontainable, zero context, alpha creature. Greta scoffed. What are we, an Omegaverse parody of them? He clicked to another file in the folder. This is weird. What is it? Greta asked, reading over Cass's shoulder. This phantom person is tied to two humans. Two names appeared side by side. Dr. Madeline Fenton, Dr. Jack Fenton. Their photos loaded a moment later. One, a woman in a teal hazmat suit with a too bright smile. The other, a towering man cradling a weapon that looked more sci-fi than military standard. They were ghost researchers, Tim explained, voice tight. From what we've managed to piece together, they tried to help Phantom escape during the GIY lockdown event. The report says they were terminated on site for obstruction of mission. And their tone? Casey asked softly. Tim hesitated, then pulled up a redacted map. The center was just gone, like a hole burned through the page. Wiped off every registry. No name, no census data, no coordinates. The GIW scrubbed it clean, like it never existed. So we don't even know where Phantom came from, Steph whispered, or who else might have survived. Greta leaned back, her face pale, which means we can't ask for help. We can't trace any relatives. No allies. They erased everything. Tim stared down at the screen, fingers clenched, tied around the laptop frame. Steph frowned. That's kinda suspicious. There's more, Tim said tightly, already navigating to a secondary database. Family records. Just got clearance to dig into the extended files. A second later, a granny photograph loaded. Jack and Maddie Fenton, beaming, arms wrapped around two teens. The girl had long red hair and a bright, almost defiant smile. The boy beside her looked softer. Black hair, tight blue eyes, expression quiet and hesitant, like he didn't want to be in the photo at all. Tim's gaze snagged on the names listed below. Jasmine Fenton, Daniel Fenton. He stared. Both kids went missing 4 years ago. Cassie leaned in, her voice low. The ghost expert we contacted, the one Greta mentioned, it's her, Jasmine. She has been hiding in San Francisco. We finally convinced her to trust us. Cece's putting her up for now. Steph straightened. Wait, the same year her parents were killed? Exactly, Tim said. Voice clipped. Officially, they were labeled as runaways. But there is nothing in the police logs, no missing persons bulletin, no searches, just a note on their file saying presumed disappearance during classified event, and then silence. Cass tapped the screen lightly, pointing at the boy. Him. Tim blinked. What? Him, she said again, eyes sharp. Look at the boy. Daniel. Tim followed her finger, and suddenly everything clicked. The shape of his jaw, the tilt of his eyes, the curve of his cheekbones. He switched back to the blurry, distorted satellite image of Phantom. The glowing eyes, the white hair, the spectral energy bleeding off him like smoke, then back to the family photo. Phantom's features were sharper, older, tired, but they were the same. Tim felt the breath catch in his throat. That's him, he whispered. Phantom is Daniel, or he was. Steph's voice was low now, no longer teasing. So what happened to him? Tim sat back slowly, numb fingers letting go of the tablet as if it burned. I don't know, but Ghost, he's always been scared of the GIW. Every time I mention the name, he gets tense. He said they're dangerous, that they take things. He looked again at the picture, at the soft-eyed boy who didn't want to be photographed. And if he really is a ghost, Tim said quietly, then Phantom isn't just someone they are watching. He swallowed, dread curling in his gut. He's the one they are hunting. Cass looked at the photo again, then back at Tim. And Ghost? Tim hesitated. His fingers curled around the edge of his tablet. He might know more. About Phantom, about Daniel, about what happened. Maybe he was there when it all went down. Ghost is a ghost after all. I'm a ghost, Greta said dryly, crossing her arms. I don't know. Yeah, but you'll have been protected by the Young Justice since the start. You had people watching your back. Maybe he didn't. He trailed off, chewing the inside of his cheek, as 1,000 scenarios flooded his brain. None of them good. I need to ask him, he said finally, voice quiet. He didn't say the other part aloud, but it echoed in his head like a quiet, insistent drum beat. What if Ghost isn't just someone who knows Phantom? Later after lunch, Tim tried not to pace while finishing his drink. Tired, but his legs was bouncing like he drowned 3 espressos and a pack of nerves. Not one polite iced tea. His fingers drummed against the table. His eyes flickered to his phone, then to the window, then back to the phone. Cass watched him, unimpressed. You're vibrating. I'm fine, Tim muttered. Steph raised an eyebrow and nudged him with her elbow. You're obsessing, again. Come on. Mr. Birdie, we're going to the park. I have research. You have a bird boyfriend to hang out with, she said sweetly. Research later, romance now. I do not have a bird boyfriend. Casey tilted her head, more thoughtful. Pretty sure if you're distressed about a bird, you're at least emotionally compromised. He's not just a bird, Tim snapped, throwing his hands up. He has expressive eye contact. He organizes my gear. He comforted me when I was bleeding out. He sings along to my playlists. Steph snorted. No kidding. You chirp-tracked him like a paranoid pigeon dead. He keeps getting into danger, Tim argued. Also, he stole my toast this morning. That's not a normal bird behavior. Cass gave him a look that very clearly said, You're not helping your case. Let me finish this last research and then we go to the park, okay? Steph let out a long sigh before slumping down on the chair. Okay, but after that I want ice cream. The buzz of the cafe faded beneath the steady clunk of Tim's keyboard as he dove deeper into the decrypted GIW files around him. Cups were half drained, trays pushed aside, and phones abandoned. Every girl leaned in close to the screen, eyes sharp and focused, but chatting between them. This is beyond shady, Steph muttered, scrolling with 2 fingers as a file popped up. No logo, no official clearance. And these redacted reports? You could black out less with a Sharpie and some rage. Casey leaned in, jaw tense. Here, this will mention subject PH7, high-risk spectral entity capable of trans-dimensional traversal, targeted for permanent detainment or neutralization. Greta frowned. They don't use the word containment at all. It's either detainment or, she hesitated, determination protocol. That's government speak for kill on sight. Tim's eyes narrowed as he brought up another folder, deeper, buried beneath a few extra layers of obfuscation. Wait, I think these are mission logs. A soft click, then the screen filled with blocky black text and grainy satellite images. Casey tilted her head, pointing. That's Amity Park, the place where the Fentons lived. Was, Greta corrected, as she pointed at some text. The town doesn't exist anymore? They purged it. Not just physically, digitally. It's like they tried to erase it from time too. Casey scrolled further. They tracked Phantom all across the town. There's a pattern. They kept losing him whenever he got close to this house. 1213 Winslow Drive. Tim clicked. A blurry surveillance photo popped up with a label. That's the Fenton's house, he said quietly. That is one hell of an OSHA violation. Casey pulled out her phone, typing furiously. Okay, so if Phantom kept vanishing near the house, and then the house was bombed shortly after, they were trying to get him, Steph said grimly. Tim nodded, but failed. Or, Greta said slowly, maybe someone helped him escape. Everyone paused. Tim frowned. What do you mean? Greta leaned in, tapping the edge of his tablet. Phantom was nearly cornered. The last setting was just blocks from the Fenton's house. But then he vanished, and right after that, the GRA labeled the entire Fenton property as compromised by external anomaly, and decided to exterminate it. It's not uncommon for ghosts to form companions, by what Jasmine Fenton had said, and Cass signed. Another ghost? Casey looked between them. You think it was a ghost? Tim's eyes widened slightly. It fits. If he was in Amity Park, if he saw what was happening, if he helped Danny, Phantom, escape, and he might not just be some random bird. Greta finished. He could have been part of it from the beginning, a protector. Tim stepped back, mind racing. It would explain everything. The way he's so smart, how he reacts to danger, how he always keeps a perimeter, like he's used to guarding someone. He swallowed hard. The way he looks at me like he I already lost something once and won't let it happen again. Kaz nodded slowly. And if Ghost was Phantom's ally, Steph leaned forward, her voice low, then Phantom might still be alive. Maybe not just alive, Tim muttered, gaze drifting towards the cafe window, where light flickered through glass in long golden lines. Maybe Phantom is here, in Gotham, and Ghost is making sure no one finds him. The girls were quiet for a moment, letting it sink in. Then Casey said, "Well, that's one hell of a ghost story." Tim didn't respond, because somewhere deep in his chest, a familiar warmth stirred. He's close, and it meant the GIW might be getting close too, and Tim would be damned if he let them take Ghost or Phantom without a fight. After that, there wasn't much for them to do at the cafe. They had definitely overstayed their welcome and paid before Casey and Greta had to leave back to San Francisco. Tim hugged his friends and wished them an easy and safe trip. He also told Casey to keep an eye out for the GIW and where their bases were if she saw them. By the time they reached the park, Steph had dragged Kaz to a nearby ice cream stand, leaving Tim alone with nothing but his nerves and the glowing screen of his tracker app. He opened it out of habit, needing to reassure that his bird were still... Ping. Tim blinked. Wait. Madonna's GPS signal was at the park? His brow furrowed as he watched the blinking dot hover behind a massive oak tree near the pond. He moved slowly, silently, around the truck, expecting to find his stove perched high above, maybe brooding like the tiny diva she was. Instead, he stopped dead. She was curled up on someone's lap, smug, completely at peace. Being pet? Tim stared. The guy didn't even look up at first. One hand rested gently on Madonna's head, fingers trailing through her feathers with easy affection. He leaned back against the tree, with his eyes closed, like a picture of serenity, like he belonged there. Tim took a step forward and cleared his throat. The man opened his eyes. Tim's entire body short-circuited. Those eyes, those blue eyes, were burned into his memory. He spent hours squinting at them through steady light blur and attracted files. Daniel Fenton. Phantom. Only different. Older. The face in the GIW file had been thinner, hollow by stress or fear. The man before him was still tired. Tim could see the shadows under his eyes, but his expression was calm, composed, human, and beautiful. Tim's thoughts stumbled. Oh no, he's hot. He scrambled for composure. "Excuse me," he managed, voice steadier than it had any right to be. "Is it you, Bird?" The guy blinked slowly, once, twice, then glanced down at Madonna, who cooed up at him with all the smugness of a feathered matchmaker. "She is very committed to ruining my street cred," the man said, voice low and hoarse, like it hadn't been used in days. "So she's not yours?" Tim asked, raising a brow and failing not to stare. He focused on Madonna instead, because the alternative was making a fool of himself. "No." The guy rasped again, clearing his throat. "She just decided I was worldly, I guess." Then he looked up at Tim again, and that was it. Tim's brain flatlined. Blue eyes, tired but bright, too familiar, too sharp, too much. "Is she yours?" the guy asked, casual, easy. Madonna cooed like she already knew the answer. She blinked slowly and burrowed deeper into his lap, the picture of possessive contentment. Traitor, or maybe genius. Tim hadn't decided yet. "She is," he said, quickly, trying to smile. It came out awkward, crooked, way too tense. "God, why are you like this?" "But she likes you," he added, forcing out something that vaguely resembled charm. "So I guess I will let her stay with you for a bit. Nice to meet you. I'm Tim." "Damn it, Tim. Creep vibes. You're radiating creep vibes." He held out his hand. The man looked at it, then smirked, and slid his fingers into Tim's, like it was second nature. His skin was cooler than expected, cool enough to notice, cool enough to make Tim's entire body overheat by contrast. "Nice to meet you too, Tim," he said, voice a touch warmer now. "So your bird is in prime real estate?" Tim chuckled, trying to keep it light, but his voice betrayed him with how soft it came out. He gave the man's hand a light shake, then let go. Too slow. His fingers lingered just a beat too long. So much trouble. "No problem," Tim said, ears pink, heart hammering. "She seems really comfortable." Madonna let out a smug little frill and nuzzled into the man's hoodie like she'd just sealed a cosmic contract. Tim was definitely losing this battle. He also tried not to melt. He crouched slightly, one hand moving with deliberate care as he ran a finger down Madonna's head. Focus on the bird, not the guy. The doe frilled, delighted, puffing up like royalty, being dotted on, then nestled deeper into Danny's lap, like she'd found sacred ground and claimed it. "Calm down, Tim. You can do this. You are a professional. You have talked to Superman while bleeding out. You can talk to a cute guy with good hair." But Danny was close, too close. Close enough that if Tim leaned forward just an inch, he could brush his lips against his cheek. Close enough that his voice could be a whisper and Danny would still hear it like a secret. And the scent, God, it wrapped around him like a slow tide. Winter snow, ozone, sharp and cold, mint shampoo and something else, something purely Danny, clean and warm and electric, impossible to describe, impossible to ignore. Tim didn't even breathe, and he could still feel it, still want it. He leaned in, just the barest tilt forward, like gravity had decided Danny was the center of the universe now. Every part of him screamed, touch him. Just a brush of his lips to that soft stretch of neck. Just one look closer, one breath deeper. "Bad, Tim," his brain snapped. "Bad! You're not allowed to simp for the mysterious ghost man." He choked down a breath and forced himself to look back down at Madonna. But she was a lost cause, curled up like a satisfied little trader, radiating contentment. And Tim's eyes, traitorous themselves, slid back up to the man. Then he was looking into the branches above them, not at Tim, not anymore, up towards the sky, wistful and quiet, like he missed it. Tim had watched that blurry footage of Phantom a dozen times, flying, soaring high into the clouds, like gravity didn't apply. Maybe Danny missed that, or maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he was looking for Ghost. Tim swallowed hard. "She's got good taste," Danny said then. The words a little too quick, a little too casual, like they were cover for something else. Tim didn't miss a beat. His lips quirked, and his voice slipped out soft, easy. "And birds are people." Danny's gaze slid back to him, and Tim's lungs just stopped. Those eyes, sharp blue, unrelenting, lit from the inside like the sky had fallen into them. And when they locked onto his, Tim's entire world narrowed to that single point of contact. Everything else, the rush of leaves, the hum of the park, the chaos of his thoughts, went quiet. All he could hear was the thundering in his chest. All he could feel was Danny, and for one terrifying second he wanted everything. Then he snorted and rolled his eyes, smirking with that same infuriating ease. Tim felt his face catch fire. "Yes," and he said, dry and amused. Tim laughed, crouching fully now, with his elbows on his knees, fingers still stroking through Madonna's feathers, like this wasn't the weirdest accidental date setup of his entire life. And maybe it was. And maybe he didn't care. Then he tilted his head, eyeing him with suspicious. "You didn't put a tracker on her, did you?" Tim blinked, heart stuttering, because Danny said it like a joke, casual and teasing, but his gaze had a familiar sharpness, like he was interrogating a suspect, like he knew. Tim's heart started hammering wildly, because if this is some kind of honeypot pigeon scheme, Danny went on, raising an eyebrow. I'm impressed. Tim's brow lifted in flux innocence, hiding the way his brain went into overdrive. How did he know? Was he guessing? Joking? Had he actually figured it out? Would Ghost or Madonna have led him back here on purpose? Maybe if Ghost was taking care of this man, it would make perfect sense to bring him something that smelled like home. And then Tim noticed it. The hoodie. His hoodie. Worn and oversized. Sleeves bunched around Danny's elbows. One of Dick's old university ones that Tim had inherited and never quite managed to get rid of. The one Ghost had definitely stolen 2 weeks ago to fix the nest. His stomach twisted. Did Ghost give it to him? A ridiculous surge of warmth and betrayal flooded his chest. Because if Ghost was taking care of this man, this tired, quiet, suspiciously hot man, it meant Ghost knew exactly who he was and hadn't said a word. You're deflecting, Danny said, breaking his spiral with another eye roll. You're projecting, Tim shot back without missing a beat, his mouth frozen, just slightly, thoughts still racing. Maybe you trained her to find hot guys in parks. Danny deadpanned. I don't train birds to flirt for me. I handle my own flirting like an adult. Tim was going to die right there in the grass. And the worst part? He wouldn't even mind. Tim hummed, eyes dragging over Danny, cataloging every piece of clothing. Yep, all of it was his. Bottom of the drawer stuff, backup sweats, and forgotten hoodies he kept around in case someone bled out in his living room and needed to borrow something after. Ghost must have been stockpiling his wardrobe like nesting materials. You're doing pretty well so far, Tim said casually. Danny blinked, then let out a soft huff of laughter. Is this flirting now? Tim looked up and caught his gaze, really caught it, and smiled slowly. The puzzle clicked into place. Ghost hadn't just been following Danny. He'd been protecting him, helping him stay hidden, helping him survive. Only if it's working, Tim said, Madonna thrilled beside them like she'd been orchestrating this entire moment from the start. Then he glanced down at her, a little bashful now, and then looked back at Tim through his lashes. She's way too pleased with herself. Tim tilted his head, studying the smug little dove. She likes you, he said, soft but firm. So I guess I will let her keep you for a while. Danny snorted, the sound dissolving into a real grin that nearly knocked the breath out of Tim's lungs. God, he's beautiful when he smiles. Wow, generous, then he teased. I'm a giver, Tim replied smoothly, but only if you're worth the wingman. Danny leaned back just a bit, giving him a look that sparked like static between them, half challenge, half amusement. You are eerie similar to someone I know. Tim grinned. Good-looking, clever, emotionally repressed? I was going to say a menace with nice hands, but sure, let's go with that. Tim's heart did an undignified little somersault. Oh yeah, he thought. I'm doomed. Before Tim could respond, a familiar voice cut through the quiet. Bird boy, stop seducing civilians and get over here! Steph, waving from the path, grinned like the chaos gremlin she was. Cass stood beside her with a smaller, knowing smile. Tim gave Madonna one last pat. Duty calls. Danny tilted his head slightly, brow raised. Don't worry. I will take great care of your bird. Tim smirked, gaze lingering. Just don't let her train you. Danny's grin widened like he was absolutely planning to let exactly that happen. I'm Tim, by the way, Tim added, taking a half step back, like he didn't want to. Danny, he replied easily. Tim hesitated a moment longer, brushing grass from his pants, then decided to risk it. He needed a reason to see him again. He needed this not to be a one-time thing. Well, it was nice meeting you, Danny, he said. Then, with as much casual confidence as he could fake, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek business card. If you ever want to do this again, he offered, holding it out. The card was simple and elegant. Timothy Drake Wayne. Just a name, no number, because the ink was reactive. Danny's fingers would reveal the rest. A security measure. And maybe a test. Then he took it between two fingers with a grin that was far too smug for someone pretending not to know anything. Sure thing, Birdie. I will give you a call real soon. Tim squinted, suspicious. Was that a nickname or a threat? Yes, Danny said, not even trying to hide his amusement. Tim huffed out a laugh and shook his head. His cheeks hurt from smiling. He turned and jogged back towards the trail where Steph and Cass were waiting, both watching him like they'd just witnessed a rom-com climax. Behind him, he could still feel Danny's eyes on his back, and the card was no longer in his hand. It was in Danny's. Please call, Tim thought. Please be who I think you are, and please, please let me see you again. He could still feel the ghost of Danny's smile warming the inside of his chest. Ghost of a smile. Tim snorted quietly to himself. Yeah, he was absolutely doomed. His eyes lingered a second longer than was socially acceptable. He told himself it was because Madonna was still in the guy's lab, not because Danny had the audacity to be hot and funny and look like he just stepped out of a tragic origin story, complete with hoodie, haunted eyes, and accidental lap dove. His name was Daniel Fenton. Daniel Fenton, the same Daniel who had been declared missing 4 years ago. The same Daniel whose face matched Phantom, minus the white hair, glowing eyes, and eldritch energy crown. And now here he was, sitting under a tree in the park, casually petting Tim's bird like he hadn't just yeeted Tim's emotional stability straight into another tax bracket. This was fine. This was totally normal. Eventually, the girls peeled away with far too much amusement for Tim's liking. Steph blew him a kiss, and Cass mouthed, "Bird boyfriend," before vanishing into the trees like the gremlin ninja hybrid she was. Tim waved him off with what dignity he could salvage, half floating from sunlight, half caffeine, and freshly engraved eye contact with Daniel freaking Phantom. He looked for him back at the park. He wasn't there anymore, so he made his way home, stepped through the door with a soft exhale, and immediately knew something was wrong. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. There were usually at least 3 birds screaming at each other from the rafters, or passive-aggressively pecking the walls like they were trying to claim real estate. But right now, silence, except for Ghost. Tim's heart pulled in his chest, warm, instinctive, as the massive crow swirled on the armrest with the grace of a sentinel coming off duty. The moment Tim took a step closer, Ghost launched himself across the room in a flurry of sleek, inky wings, talons tucked tight. "Whoa, hey buddy!" Tim laughed, stumbling back, as Ghost collided with his chest like a living, emotionally codependent weight blanket. The bird let out a soft, vibrating sound, somewhere between a purr and a warble, and immediately tucked his beak under Tim's jaw, like he was trying to merge with his bones. Tim dropped onto the couch with a theatrical uff, arms off the needy bird. "You missed me, huh?" he muttered, fingers stroking gently down Ghost's spine. He could feel the faint tremor of that strange, not quite grumble, not quite ghost noise echoing through his ribs like an affectionate haunting. "Late, late," Ghost muttered, voice rippling like a memory more than a sound. It brushed the inside of Tim's thoughts. "I counted." "You can't count." "Can't too," Tim snorted. "You only know how to count when it's minutes I'm not home." Ghost gave a sharp puff of indignation and buried his face deeper beneath Tim's chin, beak scraping softly across his skin in a motion that felt more feline than avian, like a cat trying to fuse with its person. "I wasn't gone that long, feather bud," Tim muttered, voice dripping into something warm and far too fond. "Just a little park visit with Cass and Steph. You'd have hated it. Sunlight, grass, people not feeling you. Want popcorn." Ghost huffed against his throat. Tim grinned. You always want the popcorn, even when it's not yours. Ghost let out a smug, croning chuckle. Mine now. And Tim, buried under wings and laugh and ancient eldritch pettiness, just laughed and hugged him tighter. Big baby. Ghost didn't deny it. Instead, he dragged his beak slowly along Tim's jawline, rubbing his feathered face over it like he was scent making, then collapsed in a glamorous, fluffed heap across Tim's chest. He weighed just enough to press Tim into the cushions like a weighted comfort blanket, born of shadows and sass. You know, Tim sat, fingers absent-mindedly combing through down, soft feathers. I met someone today. Ghost's plumage twitched. A cry escaped him, more question than sound. Yeah. Tim's voice dipped into something dangerously fond, dreamy around the edges. He was sitting in the park with Madonna on his lap. Blue eyes, gorgeous, great hair, honestly. Kind of tragic. Like he could stand in front of a window, and the rain would start just to match his mood. Indie breakup music would cue itself. Ghost thrilled. A low, warbling sound that reeked of jealousy. Sounds fake. He wasn't fake, Tim said, with a crooked smile. He was cute and clever, made a comment about honeypot pigeon schemes. Ghost huffed. They sounded indignant. Tim chuckled. He also had the smirk, Ghost. You ever see a guy smirk so hard you forget your own name for a second? Sounds fake. Ghost grumbled again, feathers flaring as he flopped harder into Tim's chest, wings spreading dramatically like he was trying to bolt out the memory of his mysterious parkman by physically shielding Tim's view of the world. Just me, Ghost muttered, voice a low echo. You can't just look at me. Tim rolled his eyes, but there was no real bite in it. He softened as Ghost buried in again, tucking his beak into the curve of Tim's neck with another content, purring craw, like the argument was already won. And honestly, maybe it was. I'm not replacing you, you dramatic, overgrown feather mop, Tim muttered, voice warm with laughter. But if I did end up with a very hot, emotionally mysterious parkman, you'd still be my number one roommate. Ghost let out a pleased little quack. Something between a purr and a smock told you so. Then resumed, scrubbing his beak along Tim's jaw and cheek in long deliberate sweeps. Each motion screamed, mine, like he was repainting Tim in invisible ghost ink. Tim laughed, tipping his head back to give him room. Alright. Okay, I get it. You love me. You win. You're a little baby. Ghost crowed, with all the confidence of a creature who knew he had Tim wrapped around every spectral feather. Just me, no one else. Tim tightened his arms around the oversized bird, nestling into the warmth, like it was the only safe place in the world. He sat into the quiet, a slow exhale of something content and vulnerable, and a smile that tugged at his lips didn't leave for a long, long time. And that was the chapter! Yay! Somewhere in this video I'm hiding a bird meme, just to let you know. But that was it. I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. If you like my videos in general, feel free to subscribe and share the video. At the end of the recording, my voice kinda fucked up a bit because the recording of this video was like a bit over an hour, so and I did it in one go instead of doing the smart option of pausing. Anyways, I do Podfic commissions, so if you have a fic you want me to read, you can contact me over Discord or Tumblr. Infos to that are on the screen or my channel description. If you do commission me, you get early access to my Discord server where you can listen to my recordings live and know what I'm gonna upload next more clearly. And just chill with me, I guess. I don't know what value can contact me over. There will definitely be highlights in this video, so here you go. By utility Kaz and Cassie exchanged a look. No, that's not Kaz. I think I missaid her name multiple times. It's like, Cece, not Cassie. Okay. And last week, when I got hurt, he showed bastard, no, recycling in her chair. No, week. Is it recycling? Recycling. Heh. You're coming into the translate bin.
Reclining.
Reclining, it's not recycling, okay. You're not grop. Birds don't generally have the mental birds don't generally have the mental complexity to hunt emotionally in tune. He'd fallen for the emotional. Her face alighted. Please, let's just go back to dessert. Please, just let's. Silent before Steph slurped her eye. Black Ops adjacent. Tim tilted the screen. Tim tilted the. This is the entrance of the classified. This is the entrance on the. No census? What the hell? I never seen that word before. Census. But it is census, so it's fine. Steph frowned. That's. Huh. Oh, wait. Tim's gaze sagged on the names listed beneath. Snagged? No, is it supposed to be snapped? I don't know.
Snagged.
But because it's snagged, I never heard it that way, you know. Tim's gaze snagged on the. She's been hiding in San Francisco. God damn it! Why is this so hard? He has expressed beneath the study, and these redacted. Okay, and some rage. Greta frowned. They don't use the word detainment. Oh, thanks for telling me, Greta. Targeted for permanent detrainment. Or neutralization. It's either detrainment or, she hesitated, buried beneath a few extra layers of okay. I call up on the translator.
Obfuscation.
By what, Jasmine? It's not uncommon for. The face in the GRY file had been because the alternate his skin was kohler like she just sealed a cosmic contract. Tim was definitely like she'd found scarce ground. No, not scarce. Sacred. Maybe I'm gonna leave it. And Danny said then, and Danny's lungs stopped. No way. Danny's gaze slid back. No. How long am I recording? Oh, I'm gonna drink some water because it's like already like 40 minutes. Like, Okay. Back to it, I suppose. Tim's brow lifted in flocks. Sleeves bunched around. Tim blinked. No, Danny blinked. God damn it, why do I get them confused? He offered, holding it out. What the fuck? The voice. Yeah, my voice is kind of fucking up a bit, and I don't know. But I'm almost done, so I'm going to keep going, you know? And the card was no longer the card was no longer in. God damn it! Please be who. Please be. Tim waved them off with that dignity. Tim waved them off with a and freshly engraved icon. And freshly engraved. It is engraved with the grace of a Santo. Is it Santo? I don't know. Let's see.
Sentinel.
Sentinel. You can't count. Can do. No, you can't count. You always want the part. You always want the corn. Wait, fuck. Crooking, chuckle, croning, like he was scenting. No, like he weighed enough. He weighed enough to he weighed enough. Just like ghost plumage twitched. Is it plumage?
Plumage.
And the rain would start just. Sorry. Like he could just. I don't know. Like he could. My voice or throat is complaining. And checking in long, deliberate sweeps. Nestling into the He sighed into the quiet. I don't know how my voice is currently, so I might need to re-record this, like the outro. If you have a fanfiction in mind that you would like me to hear me read, enjoy the rest of your time and see you next time.